There are concept cars that arrive with great fanfare, set the motoring world ablaze, and then fade into obscurity, never to be spoken of again. And then there are concepts like the Ferrari Rossa, which despite being 25 years old, still looks as if it could roll onto a showroom floor tomorrow and be hailed as some new ultra-exclusive speedster. This is a machine that not only refuses to age, but does so with a sort of arrogant grace that only an Italian thoroughbred could manage. But to understand the Ferrari Rossa, you first need to understand Ferrari itself. The brand has always been about two things: performance and beauty. It builds cars that make your heart race before you've even turned the key. And while some of its creations have aged better than others, there are a select few that remain so strikingly modern that you could be forgiven for thinking they've been sent back in time from the future. And the Rossa is one of them. You see, the year was 2000, and Pininfarina, Ferrari's longtime styling house, was celebrating its 70th anniversary. Now, when most companies reach a milestone like this, they pop a bottle of champagne, issue a press release, and perhaps slap a badge on an existing model to mark the occasion. But this was Pininfarina, and this was Ferrari. So instead, they decided to build something utterly breathtaking, a car that would embody 7 decades of design excellence, while paying homage to Ferrari's golden racing years. That car was the Ferrari Rossa. Unveiled at the Turin Motor Show, the Rossa was a concept car in the truest sense. It wasn't just a slight variation of an existing model, nor was it a flight of fancy, destined to remain a digital render on a designer's screen. It was a fully functional machine, designed not just to be admired, but to be driven. And in typical Ferrari fashion, it was based on a rather special donor car, the 550 Maranello. And this is where things get interesting. The Ferrari 550 Maranello was by all accounts an excellent car, an elegant Grand Tourer with a front-mounted V12 and the sort of road manners that could make even the most mundane drive feel like a victory lap at Le Mans. But for the Rossa, Pininfarina wanted something different. They wanted to take inspiration from one of Ferrari's most iconic races, the 250 Testarossa. Now, the 250 Testarossa was one of Ferrari's greatest racing machines, competing in endurance events during the late 1950s and early 1960s. It was lightweight, powerful, and most importantly, achingly beautiful. The Rossa sought to capture that spirit, translating its raw, open cockpit aggression into something modern, yet timeless. Ken Akuyama, the famed designer who would later go on to pen the Ferrari Enzo, was tasked with bringing this vision to life. The result was a car that looked unlike anything else on the road, a speedster that featured a wraparound windshield, prominent roll-up hoops, and a flowing, sculpted body that seemed to be in motion even when being parked. Other nods to the past included the distinctive air scoops behind the seats, an exposed fuel cap, and a central cutout in the hood that revealed a glimpse of the mighty V12 beneath. It was a stunning mix of old and new, a seamless blend of nostalgia and futurism that has allowed it to age far more gracefully than many of its contemporaries. All of that being said, in my opinion, the rear end is just a bit too round and it looks a bit awkward, but as they say, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But other than that, I do love the design. But all of that being said, the Ferrari Rossa wasn't just about looking good, it was also about the purity of driving. Like the Testarossa that inspired it, this was a no-frills driver-focused machine. There was no roof, no proper windscreen, and no luxurious interior to coddle you. The cockpit was stripped down to essentials, featuring a simple dashboard with retro-styled gauges, a classic 3-spoke steering wheel, and the all-imported gated manual shifter. In keeping with its track-focused philosophy, the Rossa also ditched traditional rear-view mirrors in favor of a camera system, which was revolutionary for the time. The only concession to comfort was the deeply sculpted bucket seats, which ensured that you remain firmly in place while unleashing all 480 horsepower from its glorious V12. Speaking of the V12, power came from a naturally aspirated 5.5-litre V12, producing 478 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. Mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox, this engine ensured the Rossa wasn't just a pretty face, but that it was a serious performer. While the official performance figures were never released, it is safe to assume that the Rossa was just as fast, if not faster, than the standard 550 Maranello. And given that the donor car could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 4 seconds and hit a top speed north of 186 miles per hour, this thing would have been properly fast. And I actually think it was probably faster than the 550 Maranello given the cut weight. Anyways, as with many great concept cars, the Ferrari Rossa never made it into production, despite whispers that a few wealthy collectors had expressed interest in commissioning their own. Ferrari ultimately decided to keep it a one-off. For years, it remained a centerpiece of Pininfarina's collection, occasionally making appearances at prestigious motoring events. However, in a rather unfortunate twist, the Rossa was eventually sold when Pininfarina faced financial difficulties, disappearing into the hands of a private collector. Where it is now is anyone's guess, but one thing is certain: if it were ever to resurface today, it would still look as breathtaking as it did when it first graced the showroom floor in the year 2000. And who knows how much this thing would fetch at an auction. Anyways, at the end of the video, the Ferrari Rossa stands as proof that true beauty is timeless. Unlike many concept cars from the era that now look hopelessly dated, the Rossa remains as fresh and exciting as ever. It serves as a reminder of what Ferrari and Pininfarina can achieve when they set out to create something purely for the love of design and driving. More than 2 decades later, it's hard to wonder what might have been. Could Ferrari have built a limited run of Rossas? Would they have sold every single one before the ink had dried on the order forms? Almost certainly, but perhaps it is better this way. It makes this one-off celebration of a car even more special. But at the end of the video, please let me know what you guys think. Do you agree that its design is timeless? I really do think that this thing could roll onto a showroom floor and people would still think this thing is new. Maybe there will be some dated things like the cameras being a bit crap and the interior feeling a bit outdated, but the general design of this car I do feel is timeless. But yeah, let me know what's your opinion. If you guys enjoyed this video, please have a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys did like it, you'll most probably enjoy most of my other stuff. So just go through my channel, see if there's someone's like, I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers,